And here we. Can you possibly match that rage?
I can't. They sent me by myself to a movie.
That's right. I'm the asshole who sent his wife to a romantic comedy by herself while I went to go see a science fiction film with my friends.
Just want to say, Shockwave never had a fucking worm. Oh, we're not talking about Transformers, sorry. It'd be much more interesting.
There were 3 midnights. The third one, of course, being Crazy Stupid Love, which sent you to go see. What'd you think?
It wasn't that bad. I really expected not to like it. I'm not one for like romantical comedies and stuff.
You made me sit through America's Sweethearts.
Yeah, but it had The Walken in it.
So did Mouse Hunt.
Just saying. At least I didn't leave you alone in the theater with like Goslingites going, "Oh my god, I took a shit off!"
So there were people in your theater?
Yes. When I walked in, since we got there so early so you could get good seats for your awesome, bad, cool-ass movie, there were 2 or 3 couples, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. So, I found a seat midsection, and then a couple other couples came in, and then the group of fangirls, which, whatever, they were slightly annoying, but there were like 5 of them and 1 of me, so...
I love you, Half Nelson!
Oh my god, it's like, your abs are photoshopped. Famous line from the trailer. No, actually, it was, not to compare it to said movie that I'm about to say, and I have to give this disclaimer, otherwise you'll be like, what? No way. It kind of had this Weaving 4 Rooms feel to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that, like, it looked pretty straightforward. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like a Hitch meets, whatever, 40-year-old virgin, only he's not a virgin. And for the first half hour to 40 minutes, it's really fucking awkward and depressing. Like, the scene you see in the trailer, it opens with that, where they're at dinner, and she's like, I want a divorce, And so it kind of goes on from there. There's all these, like, 4 or 5 subplots. His 13-year-old son is in love with his babysitter. The babysitter is in love with Steve Carell. And so Julianne Moore is fucking Kevin Bacon, once again, taking away.
How is Kevin Bacon? That's the important question.
He was great, however, not enough of him.
Yeah.
Not enough bacon on my toast for the moviegoer.
That's the one thing that's the same about every Kevin Bacon movie, though, is you always come away with it like, needs more Kevin Bacon.
Right? I mean, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, he steals fucking Steve Martin's cab.
Yeah.
Then he steals Rainn Wilson's woman. Sorry if you haven't seen Super yet, if you haven't. Fucking awesome.
Now he's going after Michael Scott since he's already got Dwight's girl.
Right? It's just not right. And that's the thing, too. It's a very, like, because a lot of it involves, like, him in a bar being depressed and whatever. And it's a very Michael Scott feel. Like, he's just saying inappropriate things. He's not a ladies' man. So, Notebook guy, Ryan Gosling, takes him under his wing. And it really seems like that they maybe wanted Ryan Reynolds, but he was too busy making that vice versa piece of shit.
I got that from the trailer that I saw from this movie. I was like, is Ryan Gosling just playing Ryan Reynolds?
He is, with a little bit of, like, NPH flair from How I Met Your Mother toned down slightly. Like, he's got that charm that it's like, hey, you want to get out of here? It's like that pushingness. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds, I guess, from the beginning of Just Friends would be more appropriate, where he's just all ladies' man and smooth talking. So anyway, Steve Carell keeps going to this bar, and Ryan Gosling is, like, macking on all these chicks, and you get main chick girl from the trailer that was also in Superbad. I'm just going to call her...
Emma Stone.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to call her Redhead Chick. Because it's like 3:30 in the morning. I don't even remember, like, the main characters' names. But anyway, so, oh, God, and it kills me, too. And, like, Kevin Bacon's name in it was, like, something, and they kept messing it up. So Steve Carell's at the bar, and he's like, yeah, my wife's fucking so-and-so from The Office, and he keeps saying his name. So Ryan Gosling is finally like, hey, come here, And he's, like, telling him his story. He's like, you know how I know that? You know how a perfect stranger knows this about your life? Because you've been in here every day saying this. So he's like, you can choose now. And it's like, you can walk away, or I can get you your manhood back. And he's like, why are you doing this? Because you remind me of somebody, And so they do that, and it's kind of like the Hitch thing. And there's, like, this cool scene where it's all, like, epic Middle Eastern music with like the vocalizing woman thing, and
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's eating like pizza at the food court and the wind's blowing 'cause it's like
Yeah.
outdoor. So they go shopping. Yeah, the stuff with Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell was really good. It wasn't like very stereotypical ladies man type. I mean, it was, but it wasn't like how they did it in Hitch, which
Sure.
didn't bother me. But it was very much more. It's comedy, and this was very. It was kind of a roller coaster. It was like there was a lot of awkwardness, and then comedy thrown at you, and every time you're like, oh, it's gonna be a happy ending. It's like, oh shit, no, it's not. And I really enjoyed that. But like I said, with the subplots. So Ryan Gosling's ladies' man, Steve Carell, starts going out, and he actually starts banging some chicks, and the only person he's been with is his wife previous to this.
Yeah.
So clean slate. So finally, his wife and him have a moment at a parent-teacher conference, and they kind of gonna get back together, and it turns out the kid's teacher is Marissa Tomei, who he was like the first chick he banged out on his free thing. So of course that comes out in a Marissa Tomei way, and so they are on the offsets again. Meanwhile, this is way too more complicated for a romantic comedy that should be. But
It's basically what you're saying is like it's like an ensemble piece.
it is. It's
Yeah.
like 5 stories. You're following kind of like the babysitter, and the babysitter
Yeah.
has a crush on Steve Carell, and then Steve Carell's son has a crush on the babysitter. And then you have this redheaded chick and her story with her Asian friend, and the Asian friend was great. I didn't like her from the previews, but she was like kind of the comedy relief
more like
meant for the sake of comedy.
Like a Love Actually or Magnolia kind of.
Yeah. So anyway, and you find out redheaded chick is gonna be, a lawyer, and she's with this guy, and of course Gosling hits on her at the bar. She turns him down. Guy she's with turns out to be a douchebag, so she gets with Gosling at the bar. And so it ends up, God, there were so many twists and turns that it's like I'm not even really doing this justice. I'm just giving you like the bare bones. But and so there's a scene when you think it's going to end soon, and again, I'm not like checking my phone and knowing any cap of time or anything. Steve Carell's at the bar, and he looks across, and there's a guy in a Hawaiian shirt sipping, like, and the big joke was like he was drinking a lady's drink like Steve Carell was, and you're like, oh, he's gonna take him under his wing because Ryan Gosling falls for the redhead and now is a tied down man. So what a twist! And he's not taking Steve Carell's calls, so you think it's kind of gonna go that way. So finally, Gosling calls Carell back, and his son is very. If it was filmed years ago, he would have been played by Fred Savage. He's a very non-kid kid.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he does a good job, but just, I don't know if it's like the shaggy, goofy haircut, but he's just not really completely likable. He just seems like he's going to grow up to be a douchebag. But anyway, so he gives his dad a pep talk, finding soulmate, blah, blah, a lot of that stuff in there. Not a good movie to see if you've recently broken up with someone or are not happy in your relationship, we'll just say that. But anyway, and so Gosling's like, hey, I met this girl, and, I got to meet her parents. Do you have any advice? And he's like, oh, no, you're going to do fine. I'm great that you're changed. And so Steve Carell builds, like, this mini golf in the back of, their old house that the mom and kids still live at to kind of, like, rekindle that romance because they met when they were, like, 15. And so finally they do the mini golf thing. Well, babysitter's friend was like, oh, you like an older man? Send him naked pictures. Twist, the parents find the naked pictures. And it's got, Steve Carell's character's name, and I can't remember.
Christopher Melody comes to investigate.
Yeah. So meanwhile, and this is where the meat and potatoes starts coming in, and all starts coming together. Meanwhile, the dad and like the mom and dad of the babysitter are like kind of like it's close community, kids go to school, so they all know each other. So dad's like driving over to fucking Carell's house to beat his ass, and the babysitter like took the mom's keys and is following him. Red lights, cars are crashing, and suddenly Gosling walks out with Steve Carell's other daughter, the redhead. And so it's kind of like Steve Carell knows all of the antics because this guy taught him how to womanize, etc., etc. And then, hijinks pursue. Coolest part of the movie, in my opinion, Kevin Bacon comes in. He's like, you left your sweater in my car. And so Carell kind of looks at him because he knows who he is. and whatever the fuck his name was, I don't know, he says his name, Ryan Gosling takes off his ring and just starts beating the shit out of him.
Oh.
It was like, and so then like the dad of the babysitter gets in there and the cops get called and that kind of cools down.
Where do Patch and Kayla fit into this?
There's a big thing, like the sub-climax after, I mean, to me that was the climax. I was like, that was pretty sweet, but then it goes on.
Really not buying that Ryan Gosling is going to beat the shit out of Kevin Bacon.
Have you seen him in the movie?
Have you seen Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, but in this movie, they make Kevin Bacon look kind of gaunt. Like, he looks like he's like an accountant guy.
So he's not like...
He's not ripped.
He's not like gangster, like
No,
like
not
Super.
at all. No, he's Julianne Moore's like associate at the accounting firm or whatever. So he's like typical normal guy.
Yeah.
And the way they have like Gosling, I mean, you know, they're working out, etc. And they show him with the shirt
It
off,
would
whatever.
take special effects to make it look like Ryan Gosling could beat up Kevin Bacon.
And I mean, how it is, I mean, it was a sucker punch because, you know, he just walks up, he's like, you're, you know, so-and-so, and he's like, yeah, he just takes off his ring, bam, you know, and then everybody gets in on it. So it wasn't like a brutal, he's hanging on for the end of his life beating.
I didn't hear no bell.
My friend all over my face. So anywho, and then there's like that whole like inner thing, like, I want to marry your daughter, you can't, you're a douchebag, you taught me how to womanize women, blah, blah, blah. And then of course, because of the naked pictures, the kid finds out that the babysitter's in love with his dad, so then he hates his dad, etc. And it kind of goes on from there. And it was like, it's a good movie, not something I would have picked to sit alone at midnight at. I would have liked to enjoy it in the comfort of my own home, but I mean, it's not a bad movie. Yeah, cuddle up to Lloyd. I love you forever. But yeah, every time like you think it's gonna like wrap up, be like, oh okay, you know, happy ending. Oh no, it's not a happy ending, because there were a few scenes where it's like, you know, Carell like walks off and it seems like it's about to end, and be like, oh wow, it wasn't a happy ending. I'm not gonna tell you which, but the actual ending, they kind of halfway do like the Heathers thing where it's like the happiness part of it feels forced. Like it's not altogether happy, but it's like they fucking end it with the kid looking at the camera like his fucking parents are gonna be back, and just the thing that killed me, that just I'm just like, whatever, 17-year-old has a crush on, you know, the babysitter guy, and the 13-year-old's in love with her. She gives the fucking naked pictures to the kid as a graduation present after the kid gives this big speech about love, because the shtick of it is where I was like, was the kids all, you know, given a, I guess, valedictorian speech or whatever's at his 8th grade graduation, which didn't make sense because they made him seem not like a good student, but anyway, and he's like, love doesn't exist, blah, blah, and Steve Carell stands up and he's like, stop, you know, and, you know, more speech, and so he's like, I still love you, blah, 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 talking to the teenage girl, and she fucking gives her naked pictures, which is totally illegal, to this 13-year-old kid, and it's like, that doesn't make me have warm fuzzies, that just
It's not illegal
scares
in
me.
every country.
It's America. I'm sorry, I thought this is America. But it's like, it just seemed like really, I mean, you know, whatever, I get it. Babysitters will have, like, crushes on, like, you know, the dads that they work for, etc., etc. It happens, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, at the same time, you know, and this kid, it's like, he's not even, like, you know, suave, like, you know, where you look at him and you're like, is that a kid? Or how old is that jailbait? No, this kid looks like fucking jailbait. Like, not even...
Okay.
You know, so that was just creepy and kind of ruined the flow of the whole thing, and it was like, oh man, I've seen Lifetime, I know where this is going, and that kind of took it out of, you know, the whole thing of it. But I did like, because I mean, the thing is, you're like, oh well, it's probably expected that he has another daughter, but all you see is the 2 kids from him. And they talk about Nana every once in a while. Well, the girl's name is Hannah, and when she was little, she couldn't pronounce her name, so they call her Nana. And so all the while, they're like, oh, Nana called, how's she doing? Fine, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, say hi to your daughter. Oh, I did. Your other daughter. And they come out, and it's like, ooh. So, I mean, all in all, yeah, it was a good movie.
You recommend it?
I do. Not at midnight or by yourself.
Well, sure. What trailers did you get?
I got a couple show trailers, Mad Men on Planes, Pan Am. Yeah. Some storybook thing. The actual trailers were, Well, this was so long ago.
The
and
change
so
up?
many times. Yeah, got the
They
fucking
show that
change
in
up.
every freaking movie.
Fucking change up, which I don't want to go see that. 'Cause that
Wish
would
I
make
could
me
switch
angry.
places with you, man.
Well, and the thing is, I think they're starting to extend the trailer because either I was getting snacks
They
or not
did.
paying attention because they show more, and I'm just like, really?
They did, yeah.
It just looks worse than
there's an
when
extended
I saw
trailer.
A little bit of it.
Because there's a trailer for it that I think doesn't show Leslie Mann taking a shit.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I am
let me
gonna
look,
wreck
he's
her.
like, you know, and Ryan Reynolds is all, oh, I was just lying. I want this life. No, you have to date her. And it's like, dude, get a fucking family. I'm old fashioned. I know you don't care, but you know, whatever's. It just seems so wrong. Just morality and premise. Then it'd be like Family Man and swingers and. Don't get me started. But anyway, also, let me think.
Got any final thoughts?
I'm tired. So tired.
Oh, so sleepy.
To the Gosling girls, yay, you got to see him without his shirt. I hope it was worth like the 2 minutes of squeeing. I mean, yeah, it was a good movie, and honestly, I'm not much anymore because
Okay.
I do have something to add. The movie is kind of self-aware of cliches, which I liked because I got kind of pissed when they started using them because she's like, my life is PG-13. If this were an R rating, I'm like, it is PG-13. Nothing's gonna happen. And then there's a part where like shit goes down and then it starts raining on Steve Carell and he's like, well, that's a cliche. You know, and so I mean, it's kind of like self-aware and poking fun at the same time. And it didn't. I mean, it had the misunderstanding cliche, the whole
Sure.
twist stuff, but it wasn't the same formulaic you're seeing nowadays. Like, I mean, that's what really surprised me positively, because anymore it's like it's just all about fucking, and that's like, honestly, I mean, yeah, like the whole point of it is for him to get laid and get back in the saddle, but the focus wasn't really on like fucking, and you
Well,
could
now
really tell.
you're gonna have to wait for the porn version.
Well, like the characters like really connected, like not just the romantically, but I mean, like I said, the interaction with Carell and Gosling, and just, I mean, you're never looking, other than like, I don't know, the babysitter was just weird, and that kid, but I mean, other than that, I was never once like, oh God, shut the fuck up or anything like that. I mean, the only point where I was really, it makes you feel kind of awkward because, like I said, it starts off with the divorce and everything, and it's like, ooh. And so it's about 40 minutes of awkwardness, and then it starts, going, and then goes back into awkward. So it is up and down. Not a good movie to watch if you're not feeling tip-top and you're kind of depressed.
Sure, yeah.
But it's not one of those, oh, we're all happy, everything, worked out perfectly fine.
So better than Smurfs then.
I didn't see Smurfs,
not as
but
awesome
from
as-
what I hear, yes.
But not as awesome as Cowboys and Aliens.
Those girls in the theater would have smurfed Ryan Gosling all night
I'm
long.
sure.
Yeah.
Alright, you gonna go see Apes next week?
I don't know what the next one I'll see is. If you need someone for the change up, I'll go and bitch about that, because the premise just pisses me off.
Right on. We'll see you next week.